welcome to our open book. Very good to be back with you this evening. My newsletter came out today. Rhonda, John, David Ornstein, Dorothy Joanne Wheeler, William Strauss, Diana Lynch, Mr. Dickens, our friend Carla Atkinson, Tom Mark Kimball, S.R. Wendy Buhuniak, S.R. Julie Burge, Ralph Rice, Laura Tierney, John James. Didn't hear about your hairspray. I explained that my mother was once the John James, either Catherine Capel, John James Hairspray Girl for a couple of print ads. That's what they called it in those days, the John James Girl. In any event, my newsletter came out today, 60th anniversary of In Cold Blood. Going to return to reading from it. We meet the people that, of course, we know, because the time I wrote the book, they'd already been executed, the killers, Dick and Perry. We meet them on the lam as they're entering Kansas. Hear a little bit about them and their relationship. See them as human beings and, let's just say, signals of distress to either darling. Truman Capote writes, like Mr. Clutter, the young man breakfasting in a fat cafe called the Little Jewel never drank coffee. He preferred root beer. 3 aspirin, cold root beer, and a chain of Pall Mall cigarettes. That was his notion of a proper chowder. Sipping and smoking, he studied a map spread on the counter before him. A Phillips 66 map of Mexico. But it was difficult to concentrate, for he was expecting a friend, and the friend was late. He looked out a window at the silent small town street he had never seen until yesterday. Still no sign of Dick. But he was sure to show up. After all, the purpose of their meeting was Dick's idea, his score. That, of course, is in quotes. And when that was settled, Mexico. The map was ragged, so thumbed that it had grown as supple as a piece of chamois cloth. Around the corner in his room at the hotel where he was staying were hundreds more like it, worn maps of every state in the Union, every Canadian province, every South American country. For the young man was an incessant conceiver of voyages, not a few of which he had actually taken, to Alaska, to Hawaii, to Japan, to Hong Kong. Now, thanks to a letter, an invitation to a score, here he was with all his worldly belongings, 1 cardboard suitcase, a guitar, and 2 big boxes of books and maps, songs, poems, and old letters weighing 1/4 of a ton. Dick's face when he saw those boxes. Christ, Perry, you carry that junk everywhere? And Perry had said, what junk? One of them books cost me $30. Here he was, of little Olathe, Kansas. Kind of funny if you thought about it. Imagine him being back in Kansas. And only 4 months ago, he had sworn, first to the state parole board and then to himself, that he would never set foot in Kansas again. Well, it wasn't for long. Ink-circled names populated the map. Cozumel, an island off the coast of Yucatan, where, so he had read in a Meds magazine, you could, quote, shed your clothes, put on a relaxed grin, live like a Raja, and have all the women you want for $50 a month. The same article, he had memorized other appealing statements. Cozumel is a holdout against social, economic, and political pressure. No official pushes any private person around on this island. And every year flights of Paris, parrots come over from the mainland to lay their eggs. Acapulco connoted deep-sea fishing, casinos, anxious rich women, and Sierra Madre meant gold, meant treasure of the Sierra Madre. Movie he'd seen 8 times. It was Bogart's best picture, but the old guy who played the prospector, the one who reminded Perry of his father, was terrific, too. Walter Houston. Yep, and what he told Dick was true. He did know the ins and outs of hunting gold, having been taught them by his father, who was a professional prospector. So why shouldn't they, Dick and Perry, the two of them, buy a pair of pack horses and try their luck in the Sierra Madre? But Dick, the practical Dick, had said, "Whoa, honey, whoa, I see that show ends up everybody nuts on account of fever and bloodsuckers, mean conditions all around." Then when they got the gold, remember, a big wind came along and blew it away. Perry folded the map, paid for the root beer, and stood up. Sitting, he had seemed a more than normal-sized man, a powerful man, with the shoulders, the arms, the thick, crouching torso of a weightlifter. Weightlifting was, in fact, his hobby. But some sections of him were not in proportion to the others. His tiny feet, encased in short black boots with steel buckles, would have neatly fitted into a delicate lady's dancing slippers. When he stood up, he was no taller than a 12-year-old child, and suddenly looked, strutting on stunted legs that seemed grotesquely inadequate to the grown-up bulk they supported. Not like a well-built truck driver, but like a retired jockey, overblown and muscle-bound. Outside the drugstore, Perry stationed himself in the sun. It was 8:45. Dick was half an hour late. However, if Dick had not hammered home the every-minute importance of the next 24 hours, he would not have noticed it. Time rarely weighed upon him, for he had many methods of passing it, among them mirror gazing. Dick had once observed, every time you see a mirror, you go into a trance, like you was looking at some gorgeous piece of butt. I mean, my God, man, don't you ever get tired? Far from it, his own face enthralled him. Every angle of it induced a different impression. It was a changeling face, and mirror-guided experiments had taught him how to ring the changes. How now to look ominous, now impish, now soulful, a tilt of the head, a twist of the lips, and the corrupt gypsy became the gentle romantic. His mother had been full-blooded Cherokee. It was from her that he had inherited his color and the iodine skin, the dark-moist eyes, the black hair which he kept brilliantined and was plentiful enough to provide him with sideburns and a slippery spray of bangs. His mother's donation was apparent. That of his father, a freckled, ginger-haired Irishman, was less so. It was as though the Indian blood had routed every trace of the Celtic strain. Celtic strain, I guess, since we're not talking about a basketball team. Still pink lips and a perky nose confirmed its presence. To the quality of roguish animation, of uppity Irish egotism, which often activated the mask and took control completely when he played the guitar and sang. Singing and the thought of doing so in front of an audience was another mesmeric way in which he whittled the hours. They always used the same mental scenery. Nightclub in Las Vegas, which happened to be his hometown. It was an elegant room filled with celebrities. This is a dream, of course, excitedly focused on the sensational new star rendering his famous backed by violin's version of I'll Be Seeing You, and ending with his latest self-composed ballad. Every fitful flight of parrots fly overhead red and green, green and tangerine. I see them fly, I hear them high. Some parrots bringing April spring. Dick, on first hearing his song, had commented, "Parents don't sing. They talk, maybe, holler, but they sure as hell don't sing." Of course, Dick was very literal-minded, very. He had no understanding of music and poetry. And yet, when you got right down to it, Dick's literalness, his pragmatic approach to every subject, was the primary reason that Perry had been attracted to him, for it made Dick seem, compared to himself, so authentically tough and vulnerable, totally masculine. Nevertheless, pleasant as his Las Vegas reverie was, it paled beside another of his visions. Since childhood, more than half his 31 years, he had been sending off for literature. Fortunes in diving, train at home in your spare time, make big money fast at skin and lung diving, free booklets, answering advertisements, sunken treasure, 50 genuine maps, amazing offer. But stoked a longing to realize an adventure his imagination swiftly, over and over, enabled him to experience. The dream of drifting downward through strange waters, of plunging toward a green sea dusk, sliding past the scaly, savage-eyed protectors of a ship's hulk that loomed ahead. The Spanish galleon, a drowned cargo of diamonds and pearls, heaping caskets of gold. Car horn honked. At last, Dick. So we get to meet Dick and Perry's people. Criminals, yes, but not killers yet. We get to know something of how they grew up, where they grew up. We get to know their fantasies. We get to know that their plans are, well, we'll see, not to infer too much, but hit the Clutter household for some cash, then off to Mexico. Gold prospecting, skin diving, looking for sunken treasure. Wow. What a work. Like you out into going tragic all the way around. So thanks for being with us tonight in our open book. You know, it's funny, SR. Yes, but as people pointed out over the years, book's ending was the execution. Truman Capote, by some of his critics, was accused of being ambivalent about all of that. Maybe we'll take that up in a further reading. Authors care about their books, don't they? And it was a brutal and pitiless crime that took the lives of everyone in the Clutter family. For, by the way, which turned out to be for almost no money. So we'll pick this up. It raises so many different issues. Not just issues, so many variants in human behavior. So many human themes. So, thanks very much for being with us tonight on our open book. Tomorrow night, I will do the promo from the office, and hope to see you on Saturday morning with my essay too. Um, yeah, I hope. Well, I hope that's what we do in this community that we have. Yeah. So, yeah, as Norman Mailer used to say, nobody wrote better word for word, pound for pound. So, thanks very much. See you later on our open book, and hope eventually we'll be back at a table and with a book background with which you are familiar. In the meantime, line up here in the office. Okay. I do miss Caroline, though. Thanks very much. Take care. See you later. Bye bye.